All right, now let's see how we can use input fields in our Ionic applications. Now I'm going to show you this demo in my web browser as opposed to my iOS simulator, because for some reason, I don't know, this iOS simulator is a little bit slowed down on my machine. So just like before, we start with Ionic documentation. Here we go to Components and select Inputs. Now when you see this page on a full-size resolution, you're going to see the demo of various input fields. But in this video, as I explained before, because I have reduced my browser size, you cannot see the demo. But let's quickly have a look at a sample code. So if you scroll down, this is how we can implement an input field. So first of all, we use ion-list to stack multiple input fields on top of each other. And this gives our application a modern look and feel. Now inside ion-list, we have one or more ion-item elements. And in each ion-item, we have an ion-label and an ion-input element. Very, very simple. So back here, I'm going to open up item details template, scroll here, and in the content area, instead of just rendering the item as text, I want to render it in a form. So first we add ion-list, then ion-item. Now ion-label, we give this an attribute called fixed, which positions this label in front of the input field. Once again, if you look at the documentation, you can see various attributes and you can see also a demo of how each attribute works. So here I'm going to add a label like description, and then ion-input, set the type to text, and then I'm going to use ngModel to add two-way binding between this input field and the item field in our component. Now this is a very simple form with only one input field. If you had more input fields, you would simply repeat this part in our template. Let's take a look at the result. Save. Back to the browser, I'm going to select item 1. Okay, so here's our label description, and here's the selected item. I can add a plus here to update this. However, when I click the OK button here, our item is not updated here. What's going on? Didn't we implement two-way binding? In home component, you can see that each item is a string. And in JavaScript, string is a primitive type. So when we pass it from one function to another, it's copied by value. And this means, back in item details template, even though we have used two-way binding here, this item field here, which is inside our item details component, is separate from the item we have on our home page. To solve this problem, we need to use a reference type. We need to use an object. So back here, instead of using 3 strings, I'm going to use 3 objects. Each object is going to have a description property, item 1. Now let's duplicate this and change the label. Now we are dealing with objects, reference types. This also means we have to go to the template for our homepage, so home.html. Here, instead of rendering the item, we need to render item.description. And similarly, we need to go to item details template and set the value of ngModel to item.description. Let's take a look at the result. So I'm going to select this item, add a plus here. Okay, beautiful. Next, I'm going to show you how to work with buttons.